Thank you, Madeline. Hello, everybody. It's nice to be back and see some familiar faces. I love being able to just spend a little time in meditation and talking about the Dharma. Is there anybody who just got off of retreat and coming to Wednesday mindfulness, lunchtime mindfulness? Okay. All right. So you're coming back, or maybe coming for the first time. A big warm welcome. Thank you for being here. This is, I think it's a welcome and necessary time of grounding and of coming back into one's own being in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week. What a perfect time. So we'll start this morning with a meditation, and then I'll offer some Dharma thoughts, and then we will have plenty of time to talk with each other. So I invite you to come into a posture that feels good in your body. And I'll do some light guiding to help us arrive and settle and to be here. If you'd like to close your eyes, close your eyes. If not, a gentle gaze downward. I'm going to ring the bell to start and just follow, see if you could follow the sound out as far as it goes as a way to drop in and be here. Drawing a breath in, arriving, and letting the breath go out, settling. A few breath cycles like that, each inhale an arriving, each exhale a settling. Arriving here, settling here. And with each exhale, sending some releasing, relaxing energy down through the body. Dropping the shoulders, loosening the jaw. Inviting the muscles of the chest and the belly to soften, release. And giving over the weight of the body to the support of the furniture or the floor, whatever you're connected to, and the earth, dropping in here. And as you drop in and arrive and settle, sensing into however you perceive the center of your being, the core of your being, sensing in, just being here. And then becoming aware of the space in front of you. Sensing into the space in front of you. And then into the space behind you, as far as you can, sensing behind you. And then coming back to your center. And then sensing into the right side, the space to the right of you. And the space to the left. And coming back to center. Resting here in the midst of all that is, the space inside, the space around you. And finding that place that makes the most sense for you to rest the attention, be it the breath, the body, perhaps the place where the sit bones meet the cushion or the chair, the furniture. Whatever makes sense for you. The in and out of the inhale and exhale. The steadiness of the body. And when the mind drifts off, come back to that place of rest, beginning anew. And let's sit quietly together. Noticing the quiet that's emerging, any amount. The mind might be restless or sleepy, planning or remembering. And see if you can shift to your center and truly rest in the stillness that it is inside the center. And from wherever you are, coming back to being here in this body, heart, and mind at this time. And I invite you to bring to mind any experience that you have had in recent memory of seeing something beautiful, engaging in some way in something that was a beautiful experience, or something that lifted your heart, a piece of joy, an experience of uplift of any kind. And let that come into your awareness. If it was the sight of a spring blossom, some sort of natural beauty, or maybe an exchange you had with somebody, or a piece of art or music that you saw, or a meal you had, whatever it might have been that engaged your senses around beauty, joy, contentment. Maybe notice if you feel that again, just in bringing it to mind. Let that infuse the body, the heart, and mind. And then letting any images go and come back to this alive, breathing body, the presence of the heart, the presence of the mind. And when you hear the bell, bringing yourself back. Okay. Anybody want to say, if you feel like it, what came to mind? I can start. I was sitting out in our backyard a day or two ago eating some toast, and I heard all this ruffling, and I looked up in the tree, and there's this squirrel staring me down like, I want your toast. And it sat there and watched me eat this toast and just like literally staring me down. And then I looked over and there were a couple of bunnies in the yard and the birds were eating. And I thought, this is great. This is just such a delight. But I was really taken with how I projected onto the squirrel that it couldn't believe I wasn't sharing my toast. Anyway, that's what came to mind when I offered that. Anybody else want to bring that in? Yes, Irene, please.
Oh, thank you so much, first, Heidi, for your kindness. And I'm really susceptible to any kindness these days. And I was at an Enneagram evening last Thursday, and there was a man there, the owner of this beautiful house, who was kind to me. I think I was talking to my husband about wanting a glass of water. Bam! Eric got up and brought this glass of water to me. And then later, I'm shaky on my feet. So we were waiting at the door so that I could get my husband's car to help me in it. And he brought us a chair from me. I know that. And these gestures, they might be very small, but to me,
Yeah.
they were monumental. And as a Greek, there is a word called philoxenia, if I can translate it for you. It means the art of welcoming a stranger.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And that gift is something that's in my DNA, you might say. I love
Irene,
it.
I love this. And the way you started out was very touching to me. I am susceptible to kindness.
Yes, it's true. It's
Can we
true.
make ourselves susceptible to kindness to not miss it? It's so important. Can you say the word again in Greek and the definition?
Philoxenia,
Philoxenia.
philo, of a friend, of a stranger. Thank you so much, Heidi. It brings me tears to my eyes that you got it. You got what this means to me.
I got it. I think that in this time that we're living in, we must be susceptible to kindness. It'd be so easy to shut down and to armor because we're living in well, we all know what we're living in. And we need this. We need to stay tender and open to kindness and to being bearers of kindness. Because the Buddha clearly taught that we are the primary recipients of all of our actions. So if I do anything, whatever I do, it's going to affect me first. So I really care about my well-being. And so I really do want to cultivate friendliness and kindness, and I want to forget about it. I don't want to forget about it. May we all be susceptible to kindness.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
so great. Thank you,
Bless you.
Irene.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you too. Thank you.
Anybody else want to say what came to mind? Michelle, please.
Hi, so nice to see you, Heidi.
You too.
For me, it was just an image the other day. I was just having a little bit of a moment, not in the greatest place. And I have two adult kids who don't always hang out as friends. And I came down, and there they were, head to head, working on something, laughing, collaborating. They tend to center around me a lot, and they were just having their own moment. And just to be able to witness that was
Hmm.
just lovely.
Oh, that is beautiful. You won't forget that. You
No, I
won't
didn't.
forget that. That's great. Anybody else? Okay, so there's this poem. I forgot to read you the poem I wanted to read you. It's all right. I'm always reading everybody poems. There's a poem that its title is On the Necessity of Snow Angels for the Well-Being of the World. And it's written by Grace Butcher. And I don't have the poem with me, but the title itself, On the Necessity of Snow Angels for the Well-Being of the World. And it is all about connecting with the joy that is inherent inside of us, doing things that really bring out that innocence, and to trust that being engaged and in relationship with beauty is essential. So I want to talk today about the necessity of beauty and joy for the well-being of the world. Well, we could write a book together on that. Everybody could write their own chapter on your own experience of beauty and joy and how it makes one susceptible to kindness. So in Buddhist psychology, which is known as the Abhidhamma, the study of Buddhist psychology, there are many different principles. And the very first principle is to see the inner nobility and beauty of all beings. To see the inner nobility and beauty of all beings, and that includes ourselves. And it can be easy to forget about our own beauty, tenderness, kindness, and nobility. To really have that, cultivate that deep self-respect and self-care that allows you to show up to be a force for good, I think that this practice overall, what it is doing, I have found, is training me to do less harm and more good, to be more and more sensitive to what does that mean to cultivate harmlessness, to really look at one's habits of mind, heart, and physical actions and direct it in a place towards kindness and less harm. So here's a story I want to share with you about how we can do this and how we can see each other's inner nobility. And this comes from a book called The Vow-Powered Life by Jan Chozen Bays, and she is a Zen priest in Oregon. In 1666, the Great Fire destroyed 80% of the homes in the city of London. St. Paul's Cathedral, built in the 11th century over the course of 160 years, was destroyed. The great architect Christopher Wren was hired to rebuild the cathedral. Work started in 1669 when Wren was 37 years old, and the first service was held in the church when he was 65. He received the second half of his promised salary at age 79, when the church was completed. Who among us would have a vow powerful enough to continue working on a project for 32 years on half salary? There's an interesting story from this time of the rebuilding of St. Paul's. One morning, Wren, who was not personally known by many of the workers, stopped and asked 3 different laborers, all engaged in the same task, what they were doing. The first said, "I'm cutting this stone." The second answered, "I'm earning 3 shillings 6 pence a day." And the third straightened up and squared his shoulders, and still holding his mallet and chisel, replied, "I am helping Sir Christopher Wren rebuild this magnificent cathedral." I love this story because when we get it, that we are connected to something bigger than ourselves, I think it changes us. I found that it changes me when I know I am not alone and I can be an instrument of helpfulness. I can be susceptible to helpfulness, this reciprocal relationship, and to see that, of course, workers are, somebody is swinging the mallet and somebody is seeing it as, I'm earning money for my family. And then it gets put together as, this is my job, I'm earning money for my family, but I'm helping Sir Christopher Wren rebuild this great cathedral. It's completely uplifting to know that we are part of something so much bigger than ourselves, and to choose the direction of what do I want to be part of is critically important. And I've been thinking a lot about beauty and joy because I think that it's easy to forget. I think that in our many people's busy lives and in the pervasiveness of devices, it can be easy to forget to look outside and to notice the natural beauty that really is here all the time. And we didn't do anything to get it. It's here. And I moved into this house, my husband and I moved into this house last fall. And now we're watching, because this is our first season in this house, there's all kinds of stuff coming up in the yard. And the people that lived here before planted a lot. And there are so many different kinds of tulips and different bulbs coming up. And every day I go out and I was like, I didn't do this. This is just here. How can I care for this? It's truly amazing to see the ongoing fruits of somebody else's efforts to make this home beautiful. And I feel so grateful to be the recipient of now living in this house, that I can go outside. And it is really astounding the amount of what is coming up out of the ground, and to get that feeling of what is happening in the darkness, like what happens in the winter and in the fallow times, the plants. the flower bulbs, all the things that are underground, that are nurtured in the darkness. And we can use that as a metaphor. What happens in us that's nurtured in the darkness? And in some ways, I like to think of maybe what we're doing here is a continual practice of awakening and surrender. Awakening and surrender, both literally and figuratively. So we wake up in the morning. What are we going to do with that day? We have lots of choices. Maybe not so choices about one's job or tasks that need to be done, but choices about how we come to that. And then there's a continual surrendering every night when we go to sleep and let go. Literally, to go to sleep is a profound surrender. But what is happening all day long with the awareness of, this is what's happening here? All right, this is how it is. Over and over again, the ups and downs of what happens every day, learning more and more and letting go into what is here. And I think that connects to seeing kindness, inner nobility, connecting to the importance of beauty. And it's really important to, thank you, Irene, let yourself feel a little bit of joy, and maybe even expand how you define what joy, contentment, and happiness are. So here is another one of my very favorite snippets of a story. This comes from Ross Gay's book, The Book of Delights. He's talking about the necessity of sensing into beauty and joy. He said, among the most beautiful things I've ever heard anyone say came from my student, Bethany, talking about her pedagogical aspirations or ethos, how she wanted to be as a teacher, and what she wanted her classrooms to be. She said, what if we joined our wildernesses together? Sit with that for a minute. That the body, the life, might carry a wilderness, an unexplored territory, that yours and mine and yours might somewhere, somehow meet, might even join. And what if the wilderness, perhaps the densest wilds in there, thickets, bogs, swamps, uncrossable ravines and rivers, is our sorrow? It astonishes me sometimes, how every person I get to know, everyone, regardless of everyone, by which I mean everything and everyone, lives with some personal sorrow. Not to mention the existential sorrow that we're all afflicted with, is that we will die and so will everybody that we love. And he goes on, is this sorrow, the great wilderness? Is sorrow the true wild? And if it is, if we join them, your wild to mine, what's that? What if we joined our sorrow? What if that is joy? That never fails to move me, because this is what we're doing in shared experience. Whether we're coming from a place of, doesn't matter, all the permutations of happiness and sorrow, when we come together, something bigger than us happens. So, there were something like over 5 million people who protested in the streets last weekend, and there was a lot of joy. It was pretty amazing that the reason for the protests is shattering, of course, but people came together out of sorrow and created something that was much bigger than them. Whether you were there or not, I wasn't there. I woke up a little fluey and I didn't go. Doesn't matter. But people who I know went, kept talking about the joy, that it was hard, but the intensity of the intention to bring people together for something that is so much bigger than each one of us created a shared sorrow, a shared despair, a shared deep concern And within that, there is that common humanity. And some joy came out of that. We're doing something good. To be susceptible to kindness. So I think this is a really important question. How do we live inside the sorrows and the joys and to know them as the same thing? Shared experience brings relief. This is refuge in the Sangha. I think mostly what we're doing overall is we're accompanying each other, whatever it is. We are accompanying each other, companioning and consoling. And sometimes we get to celebrate each other. How wonderful to do that. And through all of that, these are processes of connection, the importance of connection. David White, in his book, Consolations, he wrote a piece on joy. And the way he ended that essay, it said, I was here and you were here, and together we made a world. I love that. Can we show up not knowing? We come together. I was here and you were here, and together we made a world. And I think there's another way to intentionally cultivate and become aware of joy, whether it's in beauty or whatever it is, comes from Mary Oliver in one of her longer poems. There are these 3 lines that you've probably heard. She says, pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. I love that. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. Clear, poignant, beautiful instructions for living a life of presence and connection. That's what I want to do. I want to live a life of presence and connection. And so if you think about it, when you pay attention to something, the chance of being astonished increases, right? It wakes you up to whatever is right here, right now. The astonishment of that squirrel staring me down. I want your toast. It was a little astonishing, and I'm telling you about it. And when we share our experiences of what we've noticed that has astonished us, positive or negative, it's a shared experience. Because when you're telling about it, you're connecting. And it's in the experience of healthy connection that we thrive. And probably we all know the difference between healthy and unhealthy connection, but what we're intending to do, I think, is have healthy connections. Training ourselves to be present for ourselves and others. And I think what comes out of that is we make a world that is more considered, more fair, more kind. Right? I think that's really what happens. I want to read you another piece from Ross Gay. This is called The Sanctity of Trains, and it points to how we companion and console and connect. Something I've noticed riding on Amtrak trains, like the one I'm on right now between Syracuse and Manhattan, is that people leave their bags unattended for extended periods of time. Maybe they go to the end of the car to use the bathroom, or sometimes they go to the far end of the train to the cafe, which smells vomity like microwave cheese. My neighbor on this train, across the aisle and 1 row up, disappeared for a good 20 minutes, her bag wide open, a computer peeking out, not that I was checking. She's not unusual in this flaunting of security, otherwise known as trust, on the train. Nearly everyone participates in this practice of trust, and without recruiting a neighbor across the aisle to, quote, keep an eye on my stuff while I use the restroom, unquote, which seems to be a coffee shop phenomenon. Trusting one's coffee shop neighbor, but not the people in line, etc. I suppose, given the snugness of a train, especially if it's full, one might speculate there's a kind of eyes on the streetness at play, although it seems to me this morning when I was first leaving my valuables on my seat for pilfering, my laptop and cell phone glittering atop my sweatshirt and scarf, Most everyone was sleeping and so provided little, if any, eyewitness deterrence. I suppose I could spend time theorizing how it is that people are not bad to each other, but that's really not the point. The point is that in almost every instance of our lives, our social lives, we are, if we pay attention, in the midst of an almost constant, if subtle, caretaking. Holding doors open, offering elbows at crosswalks, letting someone else go first, helping with a heavy bag, reaching what's too high or what's been dropped, pulling someone back to their feet, stopping at the car wreck, at the struck dog. The alternating merge, also known as the zipper. This caretaking is our default mode, and it's always a lie that convinces us to act or believe otherwise. Always. Isn't that gorgeous? The sanctity of trains, how we rely on each other. Could you watch my stuff for a minute while I go to the restroom? And we do. We don't pilfer each other's things. So this necessity of seeing beauty, being beauty, seeing our connections, trusting those connections, this is what we're training in. This is what we're training in. I could say a whole lot more, but I'd like to open it up and just talk with each other about your own experiences of trust and connection, belonging, or anything else. Anybody? Well, I can keep talking. That is never a problem. It's never a problem. So let me go back to the beauty piece and read you this very, very famous poem that you may have heard. And this is very appropriate to our times. And this is a Wendell Berry poem. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Isn't that gorgeous? When despair for the world grows in me, and now you fill in the blank. What do you do? And you don't have to answer me, or maybe you can, if you want to come on. Like, what do you do when the despair for the world grows in you? For me, I need to go outside. That helps a lot. Or to engage in some sort of creative act, whether it's making soup. I mean it, make a meal. Sometimes I like to go to the grocery store and wander up and down the aisles just to get inspired. What looks good? What can I do? Paint, write, call a friend. But it is important. I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water. He didn't say rests on the beauty of the water. He said he rests in his beauty on the water. Can you rest in your own goodness? And we cultivate this through metta practice, through compassion practice, through joy practice. And the other thing that I've noticed recently in my own despair for the world, and I look out at the critters in my yard, they're not worried about the economy. They're not worried about any of this stuff. They're just looking for the next acorn or the bunnies eating the grass. I want to be like that. I want to be so present that certainly I can be aware of what is going on in the world, but I don't want to be consumed. Stay close to beauty. Stay close to joy. Be an instrument of kindness. Be susceptible to kindness. This is so incredibly important. And we get reminded about this, I think, over and over again. Remember Colin Powell, General Colin Powell? He died in October of 2021. And a few months before he died, he was interviewed by Bob Woodward. And Bob Woodward said, "So how are you doing? You know, you're 84 and you've got some stuff." And this is what Colin Powell said. He said, "I've got multiple myeloma cancer and I've got Parkinson's disease, but otherwise I'm fine. Don't feel sorry for me, God's sakes. I'm 84 years old and I haven't lost a day of life fighting these two diseases. I'm in good shape." I want to be like that. I want to be able to say, yes, I've got these physical ailments and I'm really okay. The Buddha said, happiness is contentment with whatever there is. It's kind of a radical thought. Happiness is contentment with whatever there is. That is pointing to equanimity, that my contentment is not going to be given away or destroyed by external circumstances. That doesn't mean we're not sensitive to them, doesn't mean we don't respond to them. But contentment is a profound practice of equanimity. And to Michelle's point, witnessing her kids head to head, working their stuff out, laughing, being together, you can bring that memory of that sight in as a resource, as a balancing resource, that actually they're okay. I'm okay. This can happen. Détente with some love. Okay, who wants to talk? Yes, Michelle.
Heidi, I have a question, if it's okay to go back to the meditation.
Yes.
I just wanted to know to clarify the intention of, you were saying sense what's in front of you.
Yeah, why did I do that?
Well, not just why, but so when I meditate, my eyes are usually closed and it becomes a thinking for me. I'm not sure exactly what to do during that, because with my eyes closed, I can't, like my body, I can feel my breath. When you say center, torso area, but when you say right, left, for me, it's just thinking of the space I'm in and what's in front, is that the intention? And if so, what is that about?
Why did I do that? So we're sitting here and there's space all around us. And it is easy to get very internally absorbed. And I think that I find that practice of sensing into the space in all directions around me as a way to be more aware of the space around me, but also to know that there's always space around me, but I can center right here. It's just a mechanism of spatial awareness, of getting a sense of where is the body in space. It's not really that complicated. That it's not meant to be more complicated than that, but there's a whole other part of that meditation that can become more complex. But it's really just about starting to work with some proprioception of where is the body in space. And it doesn't have to be a thinking thing. It's really meant as an invitation, as a sensing thing. Like having antenna, right? Like if you had antenna and radar all over your body, could you sense into the space around you? And the answer might be no, and that's fine. It's simply an invitation.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I don't know if it was just my end. You froze just as you started answering.
Oh, did you not hear any of that?
I heard I don't know if it was just me or if it froze for everyone. For me, it froze, but I can ask you another time.
Yes, you can.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you can. Thank you. Anybody else? We have time for somebody else. Yes, Beth, please.
Well, I loved all the writings you shared. Thank you for those.
You're
And one of
welcome.
them sparked something in me. The one about the Amtrak.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I've been staying away from social media the last few days, which has been nice. But a couple of weeks ago, I had um, a pleasant thing that I found, which was someone sharing like I lived in New York for 10 years and I'm in LA now, but someone was sharing that a very uniquely New York City experience is when you're on a bus and there's like the front door and the back door, and someone's trying to get out of the back door, but like the driver is not opening it and they time if it doesn't open, and people will rally. Like people start screaming like back door,
Oh, wow.
all kind of all of a sudden get up to like rally for one person who they don't know. And it got me really emotional seeing that. And I was like remembering all the times that happened, whether I was the person trying to get off or trying to help someone get off. And yeah, it just was such a beautiful, like such a small moment, but such a beautiful, impactful.
It's so true, Beth. I don't think we want to hurt each other. I really don't think that that's our nature. I think our nature is to be cheerleaders for each other. How can I help? There's actually this really great TV series called New Amsterdam, if anybody has seen it. It's got like 80 episodes, and it's all about this inner city New York public hospital. And the medical director's tagline is, "How can I help?" And it goes on and on and on. And that's what we're doing. How can I help? Or I need some help. That's the other side of it. Everybody rallied, back door, back door. Yes, that's what we do. That's why we're here. I really want to believe that. And I do believe it. Thank you. So we are coming to the end. Madeline, do you want to say anything?